Hey everybody, Eric Switzer here for The Gamer here with Editor-in-Chief Stacey Henley.
Hello.
Coming to you from the past.
Yeah.
We're still in Los Angeles, but we want to take this opportunity to talk about what we saw with Dragon Age this weekend. Dragon Age, the Veilguard.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the game. I should caveat, not a fan of the title at all.
So you and I saw it on the day before the trailer was released.
Yes.
And they showed us the trailer, and then we watched about an hour.
Yeah, the first hour of the game, which included some of the character creator, but they've released details since, like the Inquisitor stuff, which they didn't show us, so we don't know what that looks like, but the character creation stuff we saw, the backstory and those sorts of things.
Yeah. So I think first things first, everybody saw the trailer.
Yeah. We
saw the trailer. We didn't really like the trailer either.
No. When I was sitting in and they showed us the trailer, because I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. I think it would probably be my top 5 for series.
Yeah.
It was easily my most anticipated game here. And I don't really think I could have picked another game that's coming out that I came out with, other than maybe Mass Effect, which is also BioWare. Right. So I was really excited to be going into it. And then they showed us the same trailer they showed you guys. It looked like a Borderlands trailer.
Yeah.
I didn't really get the humor. I don't care about the art style as much as some people did, because Dragon Age is always like pretty poor trailers. You go back and watch them, they've never been any good.
That's what people are saying.
Yeah. But I liked that Harding was in it, and then I didn't get any impression of the other characters. I only like the Harding because I like Harding because she's in Inquisition.
Yeah. The tone was weird to me. I know that maybe people were worried that this was going to be too different from what we know about Dragon Age, but I think from what we saw, it feels like it fits in with the series pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close at the 2 in terms of its pace, just of like how the combat moves pretty fast. And 2 was probably the least tactical of all of the trilogy, and obviously they removed tactical combat completely.
Yeah.
They dropped in 2 companions. The combat wheel is very Mass Effect. So we said that as soon as we came out. I do like the momentum meter for rogues. Our rook was a rogue. We didn't get to choose that. So they, if they dodge to build up their momentum, whereas warriors need to engage in battle, and mages have mana, which they didn't really describe, but it's mana. I assume it just runs out because they've had mana in the previous days.
They said it was a whole different system than the other characters, and I was like, what does that mean?
So I assume the mage one hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But when we saw it, and at this point, obviously, people have seen about 15 minutes of it, because I know they're going to release some of the gameplay we saw. I felt a lot more, I don't know, at home with the series. I was watching it and I found myself enjoying it. And you don't always get that at shows like this. Even if you like the games, even if you think they're going to be good, you don't always enjoy them. They don't, because, you rush from room to room and it feels a little bit sterile. Yeah. And you're not really able to relax and you've got to constantly make notes. And I was watching, I was just thinking I like this. I'm going to love this. I don't like to go into games with that mindset as a journalist, but I can't with Dragon. I'm going in and think, this is going to be good.
Well, let's set the stage a little bit in case people are seeing this footage for the first time. So they explained to us that they wanted the intro to the game to be like the finale of another game.
Yeah. And
I think one thing that really helps this feel like it fits in with the Dragon Age series is that it really kind of picks up where things left off.
Yeah, it's this really strange mix of clearly a lot of time has passed because the rest of the squad is kind of disbanded. Varric and Harding are still together, but they're in Tavinda and Minratha, so they're in a new place. The Rook, it's not like call to action like with some of the other things, like you become a Grey Warden. Yeah. You get touched by I can't remember what it is, that Corypheus thing, so you can close rifts. It's very clear that you already know Varric and Ty, which the trailer gives the complete opposite impression of.
You're totally right.
So strange.
We need a leader. Who could it be? But the game starts and you're just part of the team.
They know you. They've been friends with you for a while. Yeah. I like that it got right into a set piece. It did feel like a finale to a game, but it didn't really feel like the finale to Inquisition, which I liked. Mm-hmm. It felt like this is a new game. Dragon Age has always done that. Obviously, this needs to be a bit of a sequel because of what happened with Souls at the end of Inquisition. Yeah. The previous title, Dreadwolf, even though they've changed, it still implies he's going to be a major part of the story.
Right.
And we saw him. I don't actually know. We don't know what they're going to show. but in the hour we saw, Solus was there. So we know they're going to be following on from that. Yeah, I really liked, I suppose, the scale of it. Dragon Age has been away for 10 years. It needed, I think, to put you into the action. It could afford to, sorry, part of it, but it would have been a mistake to have started really slowly and trying to ease people into like, and this is what happened in Kirkwall, and this is what the Inquisition did, and this is how magic works in our world, and kind of like almost beg people to have not forgotten them. They just kind of went, here's Minrathous, big city we talked about for like 15 years, everyone loves it, and we're going to blow it up.
Right.
So deal with it.
Yeah, and getting right to the twist from Inquisition and making that how this one starts, I think is like kind of sets the pace.
I think it's quite a bold choice. Yeah. I'm torn with whether or not I like it because I haven't seen anything else. But I have thought for a long time, really, that Solus wasn't going to be the big bad of this game. Even when it was called Dreadwolf, I didn't think they were going to make you spend 90 hours hunting Solus down. Yeah. Because the thing is, Solus isn't lying to you. Like, he's not putting it on an acting position. He betrays you. Yeah. But he's pretty genuinely himself through the entire game. He's just hiding that he's, an elven god and that he has other ambitions. But when he's courteous and when he cares for nature, when he believes that life is valuable and he abhors brutish, violent solutions to things, but he's not putting an act on. Right. So I thought there was going to be maybe a face turn. There was going to be some kind of, he was going to be lurking in the background. You're going to find out that actually the reason he did this is because there's an even bigger elven god who is also working in secret. I didn't think we were going to really meet Solus, do anything to do with Solus until 50 hours into the game, and it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
It's right away. So I do think it's bold and ambitious. I hope it doesn't mean they're just kind of moving on, but I like that they're confronting it straight away. I like that Solus is an important part of the story, I suppose. Yeah. And I think they do a pretty good job. It's difficult to judge because I know the story, but I think they do a pretty good job of integrating what happened without Varric going, let me tell you about Solus. He doesn't stop and explain things. But as you walk through his lair, he paints murals, which obviously he did in Inquisition. Yeah. You get a little bit from that. There's a couple of Rook and Nev, even though it's Neve, that annoyed me. It still annoys me. Rook and Nev asked a couple of questions. Obviously Harding and Varric knew him personally. So it feels like that's a real conversation they would have. They do a good job of tying Solus into the game.
Yeah. I was impressed with the choice system. Not that it's anything new, but it felt like you were steering the story with very simple A/B options. It felt like there was a reason to choose the choices that you were making, and I remember when we were watching someone play, but you were making the choices for him. Yeah. And you had really great justifications for why the character would talk to them this way or why they would make this choice. And it felt like that's something that's going to really enrich everyone's play experience.
Yeah, I think obviously, and there's almost certainly has been shown off because it's the big thing that they're bringing in. They're explaining what happens with the choices. So it's not just a paraphrase. Yeah. It's that meme of I don't think we should do that. And then what they really do, hold a knife to someone's throat. Dragon Age has been like that in the past, and now, as I'm sure people already know, it'll say if you pick this, you will try and talk you out of it. If you pick this, you will start a fight. Right. I think because they have to give context to what you do, they need to matter. I feel like almost certainly there were conversations during development where they had a choice, and then they were nothing changes. Yeah. How do we describe what's different? Nothing is. Right. And then hopefully someone very smart went, then let's not have the choice there. Yeah. Rather than let's make something up. Hopefully the decision then was, then we won't do choices for this one. But yeah, I think because of that, you said I was given justifications for my choices. I wouldn't usually play as a rogue, probably the third class that I would play out of the three. So when we had talk you out of it, I said, yeah, the Rook's a rogue, we should do that. We met Nev, trying to kind of understand her personality a little bit. So I think because they give you the context, it almost kind of it stops you from just going, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
in older games, it was like, do you want to have a sarcastic hawk? Do you want to have a cruel hawk? They've still got that. They've still got those icons. But I think because it tells you what's going to happen, it's not just. I always choose Renegade. I always choose Paragon. I know that's Mass Effect, but like Mass Effect trains you to pick early on which one you're going to be
and just
and
say
stick
that.
with it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're in the middle, you won't be able to get loudly from both Miranda and Jack.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing in Mass Effect. Like if you play as a centrist, both characters hate you. Like you need to either be by the book or a rebel.
Right.
And I think Dragon Age has always been a bit better, but I think the system adds to that a lot.
Yeah, me too. There's some big questions I think we were left with after the short thing that we watched.
Yes.
One of them was they've already made such a big deal about being able to explore this city.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Minrathous.
Yeah, but then the first hour of the game is that city getting totaled.
Yeah, so Minrathous is huge. I think they buy rights from the lore. It would easily be the biggest setting we've ever explored.
Okay.
Like bigger than even like the wild, like the hinterlands, bigger than the wild patches.
Mm-hmm.
Minrathous as a city is. I think a while ago I wrote a thing comparing it to Night City because it uses it uses blood magic instead of electricity.
Right.
So it's got that kind of cyberpunky vibe. I'm sure there's a word for like cyberpunk but medieval. It's not steampunk, but it's something like that. So I thought we'd spend a huge amount of time in there. We saw it blow up, but obviously it's so big. Like you in cyberpunk, you can see like city block get exploded, and you can still just go and exploit Pacifica instead. Yeah. So I assume we'll be going back. I mean, almost certainly we will, but I assume we'll get to explore bits of it. But the bit that we saw, we only saw because it starts in a hurry.
Yeah.
We just saw them kind of running through the explosions, basically, and navigating it very linear.
Yeah.
I assume we get to explore it a bit more later.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be really strange to not.
Yeah.
They took us to Tavinda. They made a big deal out of your background you're picking Tavinda. In the trailer, two of the characters were very clearly in Minrathous, Lucantis and the other one whose name I've forgotten, one of the elves. They both clearly look like they were in Minrathous.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we go back there quite a bit.
Yeah. And I guess the other big question is, like, we saw an hour, but we saw the very handcrafted, tailored, linear story narrative piece.
Yeah.
And most of your time playing this game is going to be a completely different thing. It's going to be an open world RPG experience, right?
Yeah, there's the I think it's the Alluvian is what they call it, the mirror that you can walk through. Obviously, it's played a big part in previous Dragon Age games, particularly with Solus. That's there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's something that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
In the trailer, we have the female elf is called the Veil Jumper. I can't remember her name, but clearly those portals are going to be quite useful. So I wonder if that's going to be how they're going to do that, because obviously in Inquisition, you basically you'd have your stronghold, and then you just pick on a map, and you'd go there on horseback. You wouldn't see it. That's how you'd get around. You'd be marching, and then you'd have a big area to explore. I wonder if this one, 10 years on, more tech, if it's maybe less a case of I'm going to go to the hinterlands for a while, and more you can jump from here to here to here to here to here and do what you want. But yeah, a lot of Dragon Age is, in general, about wandering and kind of seeing what you find.
Yeah.
We didn't get to do that, so they didn't show us any of that because it was very linear. But it was basically the prologue, I guess I would call it.
Yes, exactly.
Which is pretty normal for it to be more linear.
Mm-hmm.
And Dragon Age Inquisition very famously had the issue with the hinterlands of they dropped it and everyone just stayed there. They were like, "Yep, it's an open world game, so this is my open world.
This is the map."
Yeah, and it's not. You're supposed to leave immediately. So it doesn't surprise me. They'll know that. It doesn't surprise me that they've kind of gone, here is the bits we want you to do, and then we're going to take you somewhere.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see where they went. We saw Solus. We actually saw a thing that we can't talk about still, and never will be able to until the game comes out. So we can't really say like what the impetus is for like the ending, but I assume there's going to be lots of veil jumping.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm impressed by what I've seen. I'm impressed by the way that they're showing it. I think that was a great way to introduce it. It really like solidified what the tone is. It gets the characters out there right away. I feel like I have a really good sense of who each of them is in this story. So I was impressed. What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Really, it felt like I compared it to what feels like a Mass Effect game, but really it felt like Dragon Age. Like that's just really the biggest compliment that I can give to it. It's had 10 years away. The Bioware magic, as we used to call it, doesn't really exist anymore.
Right.
Anthem and Andromeda kind of drained that.
And time.
Everyone moved on.
Yeah.
Gata's not there anymore. Casey Anthony's not there anymore. Not who's Mass Effect, but like, I don't like to put it down to like one person, but really big people in both of the two major series that crafted the Bioware magic just aren't there. And logos don't make games, you know?
Yep.
You just make a game called Bioware.
Yeah.
So I was really impressed with the fact it's clearly a pretty new team. And they have made it's Dragon Age. It didn't feel like, what if we modernize it?
Yeah.
What if we do our spin? It felt
And
really
it did feel like
true to
fan
the series.
fiction.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing I was worried about. Because we live in an age of like, I love Baldur's Gate 3, but every patch was, and we've changed the kissing because people love the kissing. People do fan art of the kissing.
Yeah.
I really hate it.
Yeah.
I hate that. I don't like to use the word pandering because that's such a dirty word in gaming these days. It means like diversity and all that. But I think the kissing patches are pandering. And I was worried that Dragon Age is one of those games where you would do that. It's got such a big community and like fans. But I think narrowing down the companions to just 7, only taking 2, that shows that, you know, if you let the fans choose, they'd say, give us 20. I think it feels like Dragon Age, and that's the best thing you can say about a Dragon Age game.
Cool. Anything else you want to touch on?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, my full preview, I kind of go over some of the bits in the character creator. I'm going to write a full thing on the character creator as well, because we saw presumably more than you guys will get to see, because we saw an hour and we spent about like 20 minutes in the character creator.
Yeah.
And you said afterwards, why did they do that? Is that a big deal? And I was like, yeah. Oh, it's a really big deal. I was disappointed I didn't see more of the character creator.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the big thing, but
yeah.
I could talk for another 2 hours on like things I wanted, so.
Well, we'll talk about it a lot more as we learn more. That preview you mentioned is linked down in the description. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We have a lot more Summer Games Fest articles and videos and all kinds of stuff from what we got to see last weekend. So check that out at The Gamer, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, visit us at thegamer.com. That's The Gamer, no spaces.